But check this out though. That was kind of gangster. What Neil did, how you approached it, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are our scientists, I guess geniuses, are nerds in a sense.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, one thing I've noticed is today's nerd, the modern nerd, is not what it used to be.
Nah, bro.
That was a gangster move, man. Even for you to feel bad for Terrence, that let you know, like nerds today are moving differently.
Yeah. It ain't the nerds that you used to give a wedgie to back in the day, and they had big bifocals on and guys. That Urkel and Screech nerd is done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know that they exist anymore. Like the modern
do exist. I think they do exist.
No, I don't know. The nerd that don't have any fashion sense and he just suspenders. And I mean, of course, Steve is an exaggeration. Steve Urkel is an exaggeration, but just the idea of that, we all knew one of those, not as bad as Steve Urkel, but
yeah,
in that world,
in that world, like they had that same model,
yeah.
Like taking pieces from all these different types of nerds, making that super nerd.
I don't see the dude nowadays that looks socially awkward, that just don't know how to get around and he's weird and stuff. I don't see that. Like, to me, I think the modern nerd has evolved and it even became hot for a little while. And I think we're all the modern nerd now. It's to some degree.
Yeah.
We're all the modern nerd.
What do you contribute it to? Do you contribute it to just the plethora of knowledge that is widely available, that we can all tap into our inner nerd and we can nerd out on our specific thing that we want to nerd out on? Like, I'm pretty sure that you have something that might catch your eye on YouTube and you go into a rabbit hole of this one thing and you just nerd out, or a couple of things that you just nerd out. I know I do. Like whether it's like moon landing theories and all these what's the word, conspiracies or whatever. I'll go into a rabbit hole with that and I'll just nerd out on it for hours on hours because the information it for one, it comes to me through my algorithm and it sucks me in, and all of a sudden I'm nerding out on it, and then I just end with the inner nerd in me, which I got a lot of nerd on. I got a lot of nerd on me, but it's fed. My inner nerd is fed. Sometimes willingly and sometimes unwillingly. Sometimes I might be just laying in bed at 11 o'clock at night and all of a sudden, nerd time. You know what I'm saying? That nerd gets fed. I'm just in it. You think that could be like what it is now? Like everybody's inner nerd is kind of waking up to where now we can live in our nerddom comfortably.
I didn't consider that, but you know what? That's a good point, because a lot of what we consider a nerd to be is intellectual, people who never mature and they kind of always into stuff from your childhood. See kids that was in the anime beyond a certain age, and you look at them like the nerdy kids and stuff like that.
You're watching anime,
like you still watching that,
popular, but it's popular though.
It is, but I think the fact that all this stuff remains so accessible to you now is what allows people to keep that nerd alive. Those traits that would make you be branded as a nerd, those traits are able to stay alive, which allows our inner nerd to expand and grow. Because, okay, I'm still in the cartoons and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I'll still double back and watch them from time to time. And that would be a nerdy thing for a grown man to be into. And there was a time where I stopped watching it because I'm not available during them hours. So I got grown up stuff to do. Now they're around. I can go back and watch Ninja Turtles now. And it's just like, I can still be that little kid again. Like, man, I was watching Darkwing Duck with the kids the other day, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would have never had access to go be that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
At some point, like you said, that's a good point, to where things that you would nerd out on and be like, I'm going to watch Darkwing Duck. And you got a 9 to 5 to work. You know what I'm saying? You got this to go do. So which one are you going to, if you decide to prioritize one or the other, I think that's what maybe people might think about. But when you don't got time for it, and you got to put away childish things and go do go adulting, you know,
Yeah.
you grow away from that ability to nerd. Cause I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time to figure out that 1 times 1 is 2. Cause I ain't got time to nerd on it. I got to go feed my kids. I got to go hit this gym. You know, we got to go on vacation. We got to do things. I gotta give to my wife. I got to give to this. My parents need that. Whatever it is. Got time to nerd out. But now we got time today.
Got time, man. And the intellectual thing, I don't know how much of that is the intellectual nerds versus the conspiracy theory. Those are 2 different worlds to me. If you just because you're into conspiracy theories they can merge depending on how deep it gets, what rabbit hole you go down. Now, we go into the conspiracy theory of space and all of this, then they merge. But if we go into if JFK got, killed by the CIA, that's not nerding out to me per se. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but at the same time, I guess anything that you too into, you can be a nerd of. Like, you can be a sports nerd if you know all the statistics. We're cigar nerds. You know what I mean? Like, we sit here and obsess over tobacco leaves rolled up. I mean, we're nerds for this stuff. So it can be different levels of that. But when it comes to like the intellectual nerd, I don't know if that particular demographic has grown or not. Because you look at me and you, right? We were smart kids and now we're smart adults. So we would go out and nerd out on some intellectual stuff, like, but somebody who's never been into that, they might not be into it. Like, we're bad examples is what I'm getting at. Like, I've been in advanced classes my whole life. Then I went to college. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm sure you got the same backstory. Like, so it's just like, I've always been around kids that were nerdy, but I didn't attach myself to them because I was cool enough to go hang with the cool kids in the hallway. Like, so
Right. Like,
I found balance in that work between the worlds.
I never had classes with my friends.
Never. I hated it too, bro. Like, I hated that.
You got 2 different worlds. I go to class with these guys, but then when I got out of class, I'm hanging out with these guys. It's like, I never had classes with my friends other than PE. That's about it.
Yeah, an elective maybe. You know what I'm saying? That was it. But that's why I say maybe we're bad examples of that, just to be like, I get on and I start looking at all this information on stuff.
Actually, you know what? I think we're good. I think we're good examples of it. I think we're good examples of it. As far as like what we're talking about with the modern nerd, that your modern nerd can look differently. It can look like a you.
Yeah, we're that now. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it can look like somebody who was just, I would say normal. I'm not going to just pat myself on the back and say I'm all the way normal, but I would think I'm normal. And it's just that we're not what the character looks like. It's not necessarily the character of the nerd. And then also think about back in the day, growing up. I don't know if you heard us growing up or whatever, and parents with their kids, and they whether them be with the nerd sometimes, rather than the athlete, because that you might want to pay attention to that nerd because he gonna have some money. He gonna be the one making a dollar, and that's being seen now. You got your Elon Musk, richest man in the world. Your Jeff Bezos and your Steve Jobs. Before he passed, is like these people were able to nerd out on certain things. Your Bill Gates, of course, and your Mark Zuckerbergs, and they end up becoming billionaires. People are saying like, nah, saying being a nerd ain't so bad. Your risk score go up because you got that that bank account. Right. So it's like, hey. And I guess in our age, we're looking at people like looking at the nerd like, hey, look, because the nerd is the one that's winning now. They got the money. They got the bank. They got the Tesla trucks and whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
That's true, man. I mean, you think about in college, man, who was the dude that we all laughed at? A kid named, what's his name? We ain't even know his name.
LAD.
An acronym for lame ass dude. And we all knew who he was and we never saw him together. But he was so lame that we knew who we were referring to. And we would come back to the dorm and all of us would always have a new story about what lame ass dude did on campus.
His name. What's that? That's the name we gave somebody.
We called him lame ass dude. And none of us ever saw him together to verify we were talking about the same person.
But we all were
were quite confident we were talking about the same person. On this big campus, not a little small tech school, a university. Like, you know what I'm saying? And this dude is a billionaire somewhere right now. I know he is.
Guarantee it.
I have no doubt.
So we're making paper.
And while we teasing him behind his back about how corny he is, he's winning right now. Started some tech company. Like, he's probably over there
winning right now.
San Francisco somewhere.
Yeah. Driving something big, living in something nice.
Yep.
Right, balling out of control.
With the woman of all of our dreams, and he got her. And he just doing his thing, man.
And he was lame to us in college. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. And I think we're seeing the residual of it now, especially with social media being so wide and seeing people's successes on display more so than ever. Because back in the day, you didn't really see about everybody's success as much. You had a few people who were on the nerd side, the intellectuals who were making a little bit of money, but they weren't making, you know what I'm saying, the biggest bucks. People still paid attention to the sports or the actors or whatever, the celebrities. But nah, the ones who are winning ain't necessarily the celebrities. That's why you have a celebrity jumping into the nerd game.
Yeah.
Because nerds is winning.
Hey, and get this. I think we have reached a point where people don't realize that they being nerds anymore because the lines are so blurred. Because social media and the internet, YouTube, for example, right? YouTube has allowed for us to all go get our fix, whatever it was. And we would have secretly went to go get that fix before. And then you mess around and find somebody that reminds you of yourself, a like-minded person, somebody like you. And then you can relate to them. And then you start subscribing to them. And before you know it, they build a whole platform of people who resemble them, but they're really talking about some nerdy stuff, but they wouldn't be considered nerdy people. For example, OG in the tech gang, Flossie Carter on YouTube.
Yeah.
He really talk a lot of nerd stuff, man.
Yeah, he's a tech nerd.
But he don't fit the demographic of what you would consider a nerd, but he's a tech nerd at the end of the day. But I'm sure his whole following is combined with nerds and regular people alike, because now they can go there and feel comfortable and not feel like they being a nerd, but you're being a nerd. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. You're still nerding out over tech. Looking at all the specs and how this makes this happen and that makes that happen. That's nerd stuff. But
high heavy duty nerd stuff too. Like, if you really understand it.
Yeah. So that's another good point. The nerd landscape ain't what it used to be. So if you are a nerd in something, feel comfortable in your nerddom. Embrace it.
Yeah. and people, I don't think people tease people about that anyway. Or if they do, I haven't come across it. I don't see it. You know, it just seem like
not so much. I would be interested to ask my kids how they view their people who are considered nerds in school now. I wonder if it looks like the same way it looked like for us in the 90s and early 2000s of how we viewed the nerd in school. Or people like cool with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had a few guys who were smart, like who had the straight A's. I was one of them. And they were still in the in crowd for the most part. But even still, you had that group of people who were just, they're just nerds. Nobody wants to hang out with them at all. So I was just wondering, like, if it's still a little bit of that in school, like, is that still a thing? You know what I mean?
You know what a nerd look like today?
What?
The opposite of what a nerd looked like in our day. So a nerd in our day had tight pants and high socks all the way up their leg. And now that's what cool people wear is tighter clothes, high socks. So I'm thinking if you got ankle socks on and your pants don't really fit,
a nerd.
But a good fit, that's the nerd today. Like, and if you got some mid shoes instead of lows, you probably a nerd today.
Bro,
like,
which I just don't understand. Like, my kids get on me because I wear ankle socks, black ankle socks, and I'm completely wrong in their eyes. Completely wrong in their eyes.
And mine too, while we at it. You're completely wrong in my eyes while we at it. But go ahead, continue.
White tube socks, huh? That's the thing.
Yeah. Step your socks up, man.
That was so nerdy back in the day. If you had the white tube socks, and if you had the Kool-Aid stripe on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You was nerding back then.
I see the stripes out. They selling the stripes now too.
So I'm jumping on the stripes.
I don't see a lot of people wearing them yet, but I see. I have seen
the Kool-Aid stripes. Give me the Kool-Aid stripes.
Yeah, I see the stripes.
If I'm gonna jump back in, I'm gonna jump back in with the stripes. Let me get them.
Yeah, man.
Well, hold on. Wait, what was the reason for the stripes on the socks? What was that?
I don't know.
I'm gonna nerd out and find out why did our socks have stripes on them? What did it do?
An extra level of ugliness to the socks, I guess. I don't know, to identify one another.
I can see that coming back though. The different color socks with the stripes, and you put it with your fit.
The yellow stripes and the red stripes and stuff on them.
Yeah,
it probably could, man. You know, everything's coming full circle. I mean, the baggy pants is coming back, so you know,
it is.
Well, they are back. A lot of that started with the women too, though. It seemed like I saw the women busting it out first, and then the men follow behind.
Hey, look, we can bring most stuff back. Just don't bring them long T-shirts back.
The oversized tees is in, though. They not quite the long ones. Yeah, they oversized. So they remind you of those, but the cut a little different. So like the cut on them long tees was like slim. This one just looked bulky. Just big and bulky.
Okay. Yeah. Just don't give me the shirts down to the knees though. Bulky's fine. Cool with that. People might just because clothes are getting bigger. You know, pants are getting bigger, wide legs. So I get it. The shirt's got to go with it. You can't have like a fitted tee with the big pants. So I get it. Ratio has to match. But let's not bring them down to the knees like we used to have with the baggy pants with the tees down to the knees. I'm not here for it.
We'll see, man. We'll see.